The meticulous, brutal efficiency of the campaign was staggering. Yu Fu's psychological warfare on the river, the perfectly sprung trap by the land forces. Seeing that barbarian tribe crushed was intense, especially Ju's final stand turning into that horrific pincushion scene. The sheer scale of the victory, immediately followed by the cold calculus of processing captives, toe-cutting, and branding, really hits hard. Then the discovery of the papa fruit cotton. The potential shift this brings is mind-boggling, perhaps even more game-changing than the military conquest itself. Watching the chief juggle newborns and empire building, while planning this ambitious new grassland city right between Modun and Suritu, it feels like shifting gears into hyperdrive. This detailed multi-layered city design, balancing trade, defense, and integration, is fascinating strategic depth. But planting a fortress between two wary powers while simultaneously launching an agricultural revolution, that's playing with fire on an epic scale. Build a suspension bridge across a small stream? A piece of cake, whether it was a cable-stayed bridge or an arch bridge with the Han tribe's technical capabilities, wasn't handling such a minor scene child's play. After all, it wasn't a cross-sea bridge, and construction on flat ground had a difficulty factor of practically zero. With the new city plan decided, Yu, the Great Chieftain, resolved to personally oversee the construction. First, Yu swiftly mobilized a batch of tools and craftsmen, leading a grand procession to Weishan Commandery. There, Yu boarded a newly built tower ship, still smelling faintly of fresh wood, accompanied by 2 deep-draft cargo barges, and set off towards the Great Grasslands. The captain and sailors were seasoned veterans, utterly familiar with the route and steady as rocks. You weren't worried in the slightest. Thus, in the very first month of the first year of John Yuan, you were finally about to set foot on this great step, a land both familiar and strange. It was rather amusing, really. Despite doing business with this place for over 3 years, you, the Han tribe's big boss, were actually visiting for the first time. However, even before you arrived, Lady Spring had already made her appearance, tiptoeing in. The weather grew warmer day by day, and the nomadic tribes that had scattered elsewhere to hole up for the winter began leisurely migrating back to the lush pastures around the Great Lake. Among them were your old acquaintances, Modun and Suritu. Suritu had already gotten wind of the Han tribe's plan to build structures on the steppe, so he wasn't surprised at all, merely complaining hypocritically about why the city wasn't being built on his territory, as discussed last year. Of course, Suritu was just saying that, who would happily let others occupy their land for free. Besides, the location the Han tribe had chosen now suited him down to the ground. It was like getting a free fortress built, perfectly blocking his southern arch-enemy, Modun, to show that our relationship is solid. Suritu waved a magnanimous hand and sold another 200 head of cattle to the Han tribe. His only request, get the salt delivered quickly. His brothers to the north were practically dying for some salt. Ying Rui, who was in charge of receiving him, thumped his chest in assurance. Rest assured! Our fleet is already on the way, arriving any moment. As soon as the salt lands, we'll notify you immediately to come and collect your goods. For the sake of that savory taste, Suritu could only temporarily buddy up with the Han tribe and play meek. Needs must when the devil drives. But Modun, on the other side, had a completely different reaction. Modun had just led his tribe back to their spring and summer pastures when one of his sharp-eyed subordinates noticed, "Holy smokes, we've, got new neighbors, and it's the Han tribe." Looking closer. Whoa. They're all strapping men, weapons gleaming, and they're even wearing those iron clunkers. The subordinate was scared witless on the spot, scrambling back to report. "Chief, bad news. A Han tribe. Army is bearing down on us. They've set up camp right on our doorstep. Help!" Modun was utterly bewildered upon hearing this news. From his subordinate's description, it didn't take a genius to figure out it was the Han tribe. After all, among the tribes he knew, only the Han tribe was extravagant enough to equip every man with iron weapons, some even clad in iron armor. As for the Xin Tribe, When it came to ironworking, they weren't even fit to carry the Han tribe's shoes. They probably hadn't even figured out their smelting furnaces yet. Now Modun was nervous. He knew full well the Han tribe was not to be trifled with. His previous daring in withholding their payment stemmed mainly from two beliefs. First, although the Han tribe had trade caravans and a few dozen armored cavalrymen, their presence on the Great Steppe was basically nil. That small force wasn't enough to worry about. In Modun's impression, the Han tribe was a super tribe, fabulously wealthy, technologically advanced, extremely populous, rolling in riches, and incredibly formidable in battle. But all these dazzling advantages were offset by one fatal flaw. They were just too damned far from the grasslands. That's why Modun had dared to be so brazen, figuring that no matter how powerful the Han tribe was, they couldn't possibly send a large army trekking across such vast distances just to attack him. This emboldened him to openly withhold the livestock owed to the Han tribe. Another reason for Modun's fearless attitude was his cunning. Regarding the withheld payment, Modun had never said anything defiant like, "I just won't give it," nor had he openly challenged the Han tribe. He simply played dumb, claiming the cattle and horses were payment intended for the Xin Tribe and could only be handed over to Xin Tribe representatives. If the Han tribe wanted them, they should go ask the Xin Tribe. It wasn't his responsibility. Playing it this way was intended to lower the intensity of the conflict, avoiding truly provoking the Han tribe into sending troops. After all, if the Han tribe really resorted to force regardless of who they attacked, he, Modun, would inevitably suffer as well. So hearing suddenly that the Han tribe had actually dispatched troops left Modun's heart pounding nervously. What? Were these guys planning? Were they coming for him? Or were they going to attack the Xin tribe? Or was there some other mischief afoot? Curiosity clawed at Modun's heart like a cat. He stealthily wandered near the Han tribe encampment, the Qianyu guard garrison, pretending to herd sheep each day while furtively scouting the perimeter. But after several days of observation, he found himself even more confused. Judging by their attire and equipment, these men were undoubtedly the elite of the elite. But these elite warriors spent their days doing anything but soldierly work. They weren't farming, herding, or raiding. They were just clanging away by the lake, building houses, erecting wooden palisades, and constantly improving their camp. Did this mean they planned to put down roots and live here? Furthermore, the observant Modun noticed that the Han tribe people were building an excessive number of houses, far more than seemed necessary for themselves. Could it be they were expecting reinforcements? Sure enough, within a few days, Modun saw another large group arrive. It was the Huban Guard, having just arrived by boat from the south. Their attire was similar to the Qianyu Guards, and they flew the main Han tribe banner, though their smaller pennants differed. Modun's heart sank. These were two distinct Han tribe military units. Together they numbered over 4,000 men. The sheer scale of this force truly stunned him. What nearly made Modun's eyes pop out of his head was that these newly arrived Han tribe warriors hadn't trekked overland, huffing and puffing. They had emerged from the Great Lake aboard some kind of colossal water-floating behemoth. This utterly shattered his worldview. What on earth was that thing? How did it work? Had the Han tribe developed new routes and methods to enter the grasslands? Seeing their incredible transport capability, did this mean they planned to increase trade volume with the steppe? Would that be good or bad for him? Would the Han tribe use this method to continue transporting troops? Having sent so many warriors, were they preparing to make a move? Who was their target? A flood of questions bombarded Modun's mind, but his primary concern remained the ultimate question. Was the Han tribe going to attack him? However, infuriatingly, even after the reinforcements arrived, nothing changed. Their troop strength had doubled, yet they remained entirely focused on construction, continuing to improve the camp and even beginning to build a pier using newly transported materials. These inexplicable actions were driving Modun mad. He was completely baffled by the Han tribe's bizarre maneuvers, unable to fathom what they were really up to. Could it be they genuinely intended to bring their families and settle here permanently? Day by day, Modun's heart was in turmoil. He watched helplessly as the Han tribe camp grew increasingly like an ironclad fortress, forbiddingly solid. Yet those elite soldiers remained inactive, neither fighting nor returning home, leaving him deeply anxious, like waiting for a judge's verdict, desperately wanting to know what these people were truly planning. Amidst these nerve-wracking days, one day in the second month, Modun spotted another Han tribe fleet leisurely approaching. There weren't many boats this time, only 4, but every single one was a large, 3-masted vessel. One tower ship was, clearly for transporting people, while the others were stuffed with tools and supplies. What made Modun's eyes bulge was that among the arrivals this time was a young man with an astonishingly grand entourage. The youth wore a striking black and red robe, a glittering violet gold crown atop his head, and a long sword that looked very expensive tucked at his waist. When he disembarked, whoosh, a large contingent of soldiers rushed out from the camp, forming ranks to welcome him, surrounding him like bodyguards. Even those usually arrogant senior officers with red capes respectfully knelt on one knee in a military salute. Such pomp, such status, 10,000 wild horses seemed to stampede through Modun's mind. Who was this kid, so young yet holding such a high position in a colossal tribe like the Han? Could it be the legendary Great Chieftain of the Han tribe? Holy crap! He startled himself with this audacious thought. However, having just set foot on the grasslands, had no time for Modun's idle speculation. After glancing at the steppe scenery for a few moments, the novelty quickly wore off. It was just grasslands. You'd seen plenty in your previous life, not much different from this. Time to get down to business. That evening, the main tent was brightly lit. You summoned your key personnel for a meeting to arrange the next phase of work. The military leaders of the Qianyu and Huban guards sat on one side. The uncle-nephew pair Yu Fu and Yu Ji sat on the other, while you sat firmly in the seat of honor. Unfolding the sketches on the table, you began assigning tasks. Ying Rui, Shui Dongliang, how's the camp construction going? Any new developments around here recently? You looked first towards the 2 guard Simas, intending to get the lay. The land. Reporting to the chieftain. Shui Dongliang, the Sima of the Huban Guard, though a recent arrival, spoke first. As a former construction foreman, engineering was his forte. The main structure of the military camp is complete. The barracks are all rammed earth, very sturdy. Won't freeze in winter, won't leak in the rain, barring some catastrophe like the lake flooding. Defenses are also solid, plenty of watchtowers built, and the trifecta of ditches, earthen walls, and wooden palisades will definitely stop cavalry. The only fear is fire attacks, but I've dug cisterns at the base of the walls. If the enemy dares to use fire, we'll douse it. Rest assured, Chieftain. Good job. That'll do for now. You nodded, satisfied. This camp is temporary. Anyway, once the new city is built, we'll have to move inside. With that, your gaze shifted to Ying Rui. What about you? Anything to add? Ying Rui mulled it over and said, Yes, there are a few things to report to the chieftain. Our Qianyu guard arrived earlier, so we know a bit more. When we first got here, Yuji mentioned we were sandwiched between the 2 major powers, Suritu and Modun, so I paid close attention. Not long ago, Suritu came in person, offered 200 head of cattle without preamble, just hoping we'd sell him salt sooner. He didn't say much else, seemed quite friendly. When the Huban guard arrived, I notified him to come collect the salt, and we exchanged for some more cattle and horses at the same time. As for Modun on the other side, there's been no movement. However, this month we noticed a nomadic tribe nearby, grazing their herds not far from us every day without making contact. Something felt off, like they were watching us. They lead their cattle and sheep around the vicinity for most of the day, but the herders just watch from afar, never coming over to talk. It's strange, Ying Rui frowned. Logically, when new neighbors arrive nearby, they should at least come over to visit, right? Besides, with our Han tribe gear, we clearly look different. Aren't these nomadic tribes usually most interested in our goods? Why haven't they come to trade? It's too abnormal. My guess is, This tribe most likely belongs to Modun, sent to spy on us, trying to figure out our strength and intentions. It's unclear what exactly he plans to do, but I've already alerted the men to be vigilant. You nodded again upon hearing this. You recalled seeing a few herders furtively glancing your way from the south when you came ashore during the day. Likely the observers Ying Rui mentioned. However, you weren't particularly bothered about Modun finding out. It might even be better. If the fellow was sensible, he'd quickly hand over the owed cattle and horses. If not, then better to fight sooner rather than later, no point dawdling. Next, you turned your attention to Yu Fu. How are the fleet arrangements? When do you plan to head back? Yu Fu quickly replied, Chieftain, once this batch of tools is unloaded, I'll first send a few boats back with the exchanged cattle and horses. As for myself, I need to make a trip back first to hand over the locations of the newly discovered copper mines, salt mines, and those ore deposits on the sandbars. Once that's done, I'll lead the main fleet further south, along the Liuyang River to explore more distant regions, aiming to return before the year's end. Additionally, I'll leave a few boats here, based at the new city. Their main task will be to survey the entire Great Grassland Lake and the unfamiliar territory on its eastern shore. In critical moments, they can also be used to evacuate supplies and personnel from the new city. Well planned. You nodded again, adding a reminder. But you need to hurry with these tasks. Hand over the new mine locations promptly. If you're going south to explore, set off early too, and don't forget to calculate your return time, or you'll miss the New Year festivities. Yu Fu cupped his hands. Rest assured, Chieftain, I have it planned. I guarantee I'll bring the fleet back before the new year. All right, I trust you to handle things. If you need anything, just ask. I'll provide support as best I can. You waved a hand, then looked at Yuji, responsible for intelligence. Okay, Yuji, your turn. Tell us everything you know about Suritu, Modun, the delegation, and the Xin Tribe. Yes, Chieftain. Yuji cleared his throat. According to the latest intelligence, there's nothing unusual on Suritu's side for now. After clashing with Modun last year, he also raised a force of about 400 heavy cavalry. However, their equipment is quite crude. Leather, armor, styled similarly to the obsolete cowhide scale armor we used to use, probably learned from our trade caravans. They have stirrups, but they're woven from rattan, grass, and wood, all sorts, just makeshift. High pommel saddles are rare and highly prized. Their main weapons are bows and arrows, supplemented with long spears or stone axes. He raised this cavalry primarily for self-defense against Modun. Since buying white salt from us, he's become much more compliant. My assessment is that he's currently observing, waiting to see how we plan to deal with Modun, whether we'll fight or negotiate. The basis for this judgment is that Suritu already knows we sold chariots to the Xin Tribe, and that the payment is overdue. Last year, the former Jinwu Guard commander Jin Yi failed to retrieve the payment. Fearing reprimand from you, Chieftain, he traded caravan goods with Suritu for cattle and horses. Suritu most likely learned about the debt from Jin Yi back then. At the mention of Jin Yi, the atmosphere in the tent grew slightly awkward. The commanders of the two guards looked displeased. They knew one of their primary tasks was to recover this bad debt. Yu Fu glanced worriedly at his nephew. The previous Jinwu Guard commander had just perished, and the chieftain had given the position to his nephew. Was it a blessing or a curse? Your face darkened. This Jin Yi, utterly incompetent and only good for making trouble. Failing to get the payment back was one thing, but blabbing about it everywhere truly disgraced the Han tribe. Seeing you didn't erupt, Yuji continued his report. Regarding Modun, we recently received news that they also just returned to their southern pastures along the lake last month. But shortly after returning, he left the encampment with a small group. Currently, no one knows his whereabouts. He's missing. However, analyzing the situation, if he truly has returned, he must have heard about our large army garrisoned at his doorstep. His disappearance at this time suggests only two possibilities. Either he's afraid we'll settle accounts and has gone into hiding, or he's right here, nearby. Nearby? Before you could speak, Ying Rui beside you frowned and interjected. Exactly. Yuchi affirmed. Didn't Sima Ying just mention that small tribe next to us spying on us daily? As far as I know, that tribe is also under Modun. They're a tiny tribe, their total population smaller than our army. Would they have the incredible audacity to spy on us every day? Aren't they afraid we'll crush them? And Modun happened to disappear precisely at this time. Therefore, if he isn't hiding, he must be holed up in that tribe right next. To us, he's come personally to scout our true strength and situation to decide his next move. As for what he'll actually do, I haven't been able to analyze that yet, Yuji explained. You nodded, finding the analysis plausible. However, you didn't comment further, instead asking about the delegation in the Xin Tribe. Contact with the delegation is smooth. We exchanged messages just a few days ago. They are currently in no danger. The Xin Tribe's Great Commander hasn't troubled them. But negotiations regarding ceding land have stalled, with no progress. When Ambassador Shou Ya presses for the chariot payment, they use Modun as a shield. The delegation currently has no effective countermeasures. Hearing this, you let out a cold chuckle and issued orders without hesitation. Send a message to Shou Ya. Tell him I said he needs to display the might of our Han tribe. Tell that damn great commander of theirs that our army of 4,000 has already entered the grasslands. No, exaggerate slightly. Tell him we have 10,000 elite armored soldiers, ready at any moment to wipe out the Xin tribe's trade. Caravans and warehouses on the steppe. If pushed too far, we won't hesitate to land on Bamboo Island. Tell him he must settle the payment by the end of this month or face the consequences. Also tell Shou Ya that talk is cheap. Don't the Xin tribe like our chariots? Have Shou Ya find a way to publicly burn several of them for them to see. Then stir up public opinion vigorously among the Xin tribe populace, saying their great war. Commander reneged on his debt, and our great Han's heavenly army might sail across the sea to Bamboo Island to teach him a lesson at any time. Tell Shou Ya not to be afraid, to boldly pressure the Xin tribe. Even if the delegation gets detained, I will personally lead troops to storm Bamboo Island and rescue them. Upon hearing these words, everyone in the tent straightened their backs. Instantly, their expressions utterly serious. Everyone knew the chieftain was serious now. When the army mobilized, the chieftain never joked. Yes, I will arrange to send the message immediately. Yuji stood up at once, cupped his hands with a solemn expression, and responded loudly. You waved him down and continued arranging tasks. You still have plenty to do, not only contacting the delegation, but you also need to send people to contact Modun. Isn't he hiding from us? Then act like you don't know. Send people directly to his tribe's home base to deliver the message. Just say our Han tribe has already dispatched troops into the grasslands. Tell him upon receiving the message, he must immediately hand over the payment. No more using the Xin tribe as an excuse. Since they took the Xin tribe's sea salt, they must pay this debt. Otherwise, my great Han heavenly army will mobilize immediately, raise his pastures, and slaughter all his able-bodied men, cattle, and sheep. Tell him to try us if he doesn't believe it. Furthermore, pick some sharp-witted people from the trade caravan and have them recruit some smaller tribes. For example, that 1,000 sheep tribe you kept mentioning before sounds good. In short, specifically target small, low-status tribes living hard lives. Tell them that our Han tribe plans to establish a permanent presence on the grasslands, and now is the best time to join us and latch onto our powerful support. If they come to us, guarantee them good food, fine drink, and a better life. Terefour might have been unwilling before, afraid they couldn't adapt to our farming lifestyle. But it's different now. We are right here on the grasslands. If they come, they can still herd their livestock here, and on the best pastures. Even if they aren't the best now, I can seize the best pastures for them. Tell them exactly what I said. Only then did the crowd begin to grasp the implications. This Jinwu Guard Commander, a title imposing enough to scare off wolves, had actually been assigned to manage small trading caravans on the steppe. What an unconventional move. Not only with it, but as everyone mulled over the list of tasks you'd given Yuji, wow, this was no mere caravan leader. He was practically a mobile foreign ministry and intelligence hub rolled into one, liaising with various powers, gathering the latest intel. So the Jinwu Guard was actually a public relations team? A flurry of questions and bizarre speculations instantly filled everyone's minds. However, since you didn't elaborate, they tactfully refrained from asking. After this episode, everyone looked at the young Yuji differently, bearing a military title but doing the work of a smooth talker, with combat abilities close to zero. Yet his influence, tisk, was not to be underestimated. The meeting concluded, and everyone dispersed like wound-up clockwork, busy with their respective tasks. Yu Fu was the first to make a swift exit. His task list rivaled his nephew's. Besides continuing as the master navigator exploring new maps, all shipping and transport fell under his purview. The reason was simple and blunt. He was the old hand who had discovered the new routes. Who else knew them better? Indeed, Yu Fu was rushing back to execute his new orders. Lead the fleet from the Great Lake, follow the Luyang River homeward, then turn back at the Kaoyang River intersection, heading upstream towards the virgin forests of Jumu Commandery. Along the way, he had to stealthily pull ashore, like arranging a clandestine meeting. It couldn't be helped. Poverty forced their hand. The grasslands lacked almost everything, poor as church mice. The new city construction urgently needed timber, but the local copses weren't even sufficient for firewood, let alone building houses. Wood had to be imported. Otherwise, they couldn't even fire the kilns for bricks. You felt quite helpless, too. There was no shortage of craftsmen. Manpower was ample and tools were adequate, but materials were lacking. Yet you couldn't just let everyone stand around idle. So you made a decisive gesture. Dig ditches, use local materials, build rammed earth walls, and get the inner city up first. The inner city you designed wasn't a solid square, but a large U shape. The open side extended directly into the Great Lake, forming a stylish, integrated structure for both land and water access, combining wharf and city wall. This inner city was quite comprehensive, lacking nothing. Warehouses, a bank, government, offices, a school, barracks, and residential areas. Cramming all this in, goodness gracious, blew the land usage area right off the charts, creating a rectangular city within a city. The wharf area was at the U opening, immediately adjacent to the warehouse district. This layout facilitated loading and unloading cargo, provided proximity to water, and aided fire prevention. Behind the warehouses was the residential zone, featuring both independent courtyard homes and corridor-style apartment blocks, complete with necessary amenities like public bathhouses, latrines, markets, small eateries, and a hospital. Next to the residential area was the school. It didn't need to be huge, but had to accommodate tens of thousands. Its main task? To educate and assimilate the nomadic tribesmen who sought refuge. You intended to fully integrate them. Teaching them Han characters and culture was essential. Further out from the school was the official district. This was the new city's administrative heart, housing the bank headquarters and public structures like the timekeeping bell and drum tower. Finally, hugging the city walls were the barracks. The area couldn't be small, needing to accommodate tens of thousands of troops. However, the plan here was exclusively for city defense infantry. With this combination, the inner city's area ballooned. When you laid out all the plans on the blueprint, even you were startled. 600 meters wide, 2 kilometers long. This inner city alone was larger than the 3 marketplaces of Luyang Commandery combined, and twice the size of the current largest prefectural capital, Ruyang Commandery. Ultimately, you gave the final approval. Proceed as planned. Though a bit large, this was destined to be a future transportation hub and multi-ethnic center. Anything smaller truly wouldn't suffice. Your own Han tribe people, the steppe tribes, the future Xin Tribe. So many eyes would be watching. They might not see the Han tribe's core territory, but this frontier gateway had to possess grandeur. The goal was precisely that awe-inspiring, intimidating aura, making those wavering minor tribes feel weak-kneed at first glance, daring not to act rashly. This city was the face of the Han tribe, a walking advertisement. Not only must it be large, but it also had to be impressive, making everyone understand at a glance. Follow the Han tribe, and you'll have meat to eat and access to advanced civilization. With the inner city being so imposing, the outer city would naturally be vastly larger. Following the traditional concept of a 3-lie inner city and 7-lie outer city wall, the outer city served as the supporting residential area for outsiders and merchants. Of course, the outer city wall was also necessary, but there was no rush. Finish the inner city first, then slowly work on the outer one. This super project wasn't going to be completed in just a year or two anyway. Once the plan was set, you immediately began deploying forces. Land was measured, earth was dug for the walls, and even the current military camp was incorporated directly into the future urban area. Where did the earth come from? From digging the ditches outside the future outer city walls. Now they were ditches, but once connected, they would form a magnificent high-class moat. Thus, Shou Ya, with his rich engineering experience, became the undisputed chief commander. As for you, naturally, you couldn't personally act as the foreman. Your role was to grasp the overall direction, supervise progress, and simply wait for news from all quarters. Meanwhile, far away on Bamboo Island, Shou Ya clutched a newly arrived letter, his brow deeply furrowed. The letter was written by Yuji, but it bore your great seal, indicating the contents were absolutely your intention. Shou Ya didn't doubt its authenticity, the domineering tone leaking from between the lines. Who besides you would dare be so arrogant? But the orders in the letter, burn the chariots, as a show of force against the Xin Tribe, play such high stakes? What if those Xin Tribe fellows flew into a rage and detained or even executed the entire delegation? Shou Ya held the letter, silent for a long time, while others in the room also frowned. Finally, his gaze fell upon the gleaming gold ceremonial. Staff, the small characters engraved on it stinging him deeply. Those who offend mighty Han, though far, will be punished. Alas, he had already failed the chieftain's trust. Now that the chieftain had issued a direct command, even dying here meant little. With the entire Han tribe backing him, he refused to believe the Xin chieftain would truly dare harm them. He would do it. That night, Shou Ya summoned the core members of his guard detail to his small building, closing the doors for a secret planning session. Where to hijack the chariots, how to reason with the Xin tribe folks, how to protect the old, weak, sick, and disabled within the delegation, and what to do if things went south. Should they lie low and wait for the big boss to rescue them, or take out the enemy leader and make a run for it? Several contingency plans had to be prepared. The group murmured and plotted until dark before returning to their quarters to rest and prepare for action. The next day, just as dawn broke, Quangquan Valley, where the Xin Tribe commander resided, awoke. Men and women hefted hoes and tools, ready to head to the fields. Spring planting was paramount. No one dared to slack off. The Xin Tribe elders were no exception. They were clan heads, high-ranking tribal officials, and still needed to find time to secure benefits for their own families, busy as bees. Sure enough, early in the morning, Elder Mai and Elder Du, in charge of corn and soybeans respectively, along with Elder Zhu, responsible for construction, aggressively blocked the doorway of Elder Sheng, who managed livestock and vehicles, demanding chariots. Old Sheng, give me another 20 chariots. Official business. Elder Mi sprayed spittle. Spring planting, hauling manure. If the harvest is delayed, can you bear the responsibility? His words clearly implied he wanted extra chariots for his own family's use. Right. 20 for me too. Not one less. Elder Du chimed in from the side, blocking the way. Not giving. Them? Then I'll go report you to the Great Commander. Bullshit. Elder Sheng, furious, his beard bristling, retorted, You got enough chariots for spring planting long ago. Still trying to extort me? No way, get lost, don't delay me from overseeing the livestock breeding. Chariots? He'd already allocated them to his own family's name. Where would there be spares? He cursed while pushing them away. Just as he pushed. 2 away, another blocked his path. Elder Sheng, Elder Zhu said, his face livid. Their chariots might be enough, but mine are far from sufficient. The Great Commander wants to build large houses like the Han tribes. How can the construction site operate without chariots to haul earth and stones? You promised me 200 initially and now, only 70. If this drags on and delays the project, can you afford the blame? Elder Zhu glared at me and Dou, cursing them internally. 2 old bastards, only thinking of lining their own pockets. Putting public matters aside, scum like this should be dragged out for sacrifice, reincarnated as draft animals next life. Hey, you, surnamed Zhu, what do you mean? Elder Me, annoyed by the glare, immediately flared up. You lack chariots, so we don't. Stop stirring trouble here. Surrounded by the 3, Elder Sheng felt his head buzzing, about to explode with frustration. He suddenly roared, "All of you, get out of my way. Do you still want chariots or not?" The Ya. 3 immediately turned their gazes towards him in unison. Oh, the old thing is willing to part with them? Elder Dou said sarcastically. Weren't you just saying you had none? I knew it. You must have hidden them at home. Elder Sheng's beard trembled with rage. Cut the crap, slander me again, and you won't get a single wheel. Seeing Elder Dou about to retort, he snapped, Shut up. To tell you the truth, I only have 30 left. You can have them. Figure out how to divide them yourselves. Hearing there was a chance, me and Dou stopped arguing and looked together at Elder Zhu. I say, little Zhu, 10 each for the 3 of us. Isn't that fair? Fair my ass. Elder Zhu looked at them contemptuously. You think I don't know your little schemes? You want the chariots for your families, right? Fine. Don't say I'm not giving face. Of these 30, I want 20. The remaining 10, you two? Split. Don't agree? Fine. Let's go find the Great Commander to judge. You. Elder Me trembled with anger. What you? Yes or no, one word. If not, we go to the Great Commander. Elder Zhu didn't yield an inch. Elders Me and Dou instantly deflated. They indeed wanted the chariots for personal gain, while Elder Zhu was working for the Great Commander. If this complaint went up, they'd surely get punished severely. Fine. You win today. Elder Dou found a way to back down. We'll give you this face. Old Sheng, where are the chariots? Lead the way. What nonsense. Elder Sheng grunted irritably and reluctantly led the 3 towards the parking area in the backyard. Just as they turned into the parking area, a gleaming bronze ceremonial staff blocked their path. Holding the staff was none other than the Han envoy, Shou Ya. The elders paused, their gazes traveling past Shou Ya into the lot, and were instantly dumbfounded. Inside the parking area, dozens of Han Tribe delegation members were noisily dismantling chariots. Several of the 30 brand-new chariots had already been smashed. Others were hauling large bundles of corn stalks from the fodder shed, piling them onto the broken chariot parts, holding fire starters, seemingly about to ignite them. Han envoy, what are you doing? Elder Sheng shrieked, scared out of his wits. Stop! Those are our chariots, you can't burn them! Shou Ya sneered, not only not stopping them, but adding maximum mockery. Your chariots! Did you pay? Where are the promised cattle and horses? It's been half a year. Since you haven't paid, what right do you have to call them yours? These are still the property of our Han tribe. Since they are our chariots, Shou Ya's voice turned. Icy. As the envoy, I have the right to dispose of them. I smash my own chariots, burn my own chariots. What business is it of yours? The elders were struck speechless. They were in the wrong, but watching these precious items being destroyed pained their hearts. Elder Zhu hastily stepped forward. Ah, Han envoy, if you want payment, please discuss it with our Great Commander. Why resort to this? Such fine chariots, it's a pity to destroy them. They aren't easy to build. Please tell them to stop. A pity? Shou Ya scoffed. Our Han tribe has plenty of better chariots than these. What's smashing a few? An expression of extreme disappointment appeared on his face. his gaze sweeping coldly over the elders. My great Han delegation has been here for over half a year. Not only have we not received the treatment due to friends, but your Xin Tribe has broken its word, delaying payment. This truly chills our hearts. Esteemed elders, our hearts are cold. Shou Ya raised his voice. Since your tribe is so stingy, we don't wish to trouble you further. We can only smash a few chariots ourselves, warm ourselves by the fire, and warm our freezing hearts. He waved his hand sharply. What are you standing around for? Burn them. Let everyone get warm. The delegation members behind him immediately tossed fire starters into the pile of chariots. The chariots, coated with countless layers of tung oil, caught fire instantly. Fueled by the cornstalks, whoosh, a dozen smashed chariots were instantly engulfed in flames, the fire leaping over. 20 feet high? No, don't burn them. Elder Mi cried out in anguish, wanting to rush forward but forced back by the scorching heat wave. Han envoy, we never said we wouldn't pay. How can you burn our chariots? Stop. Still stubborn. Shou Ya's eyes sharpened, roaring at the delegation members. Smash the rest too! Add fuel to the fire! No, stop. The four elders cried out simultaneously, trying to rush forward to stop them, but were firmly held back by the guards beside Shou. Yeah. They could only watch helplessly as the Han tribe members swung axes, hacking violently at the chariot wheels with loud cracks. The wheels were the essence of the chariots. The Xin tribe couldn't produce such sturdy and durable ones themselves. They had gone to great lengths to acquire these chariots. Now they could only watch as those exquisitely crafted wheels were shattered one by one with axes. The elders knew clearly that this level of damage was absolutely beyond their ability to repair. Seeing the remaining dozen chariots also turned into scrap, the old men felt as if their tendons had been pulled, collapsing onto the ground in despair, watching the wreckage being thrown into the roaring flames. Hope shattered, despair spread, morphing into twisted anger. Suddenly, Elder Mi leaped up as if possessed, lunging at Shou Ya, grabbing his collar tightly and roaring, "Why did you do this? Don't you just want cattle and horses? I just said." We'll give them. Why did you still smash them, still burn them? Why, huh? I'm going to tell the Great Commander to drive you damn Han envoys out of Bamboo Island. You just wait. Shou Ya remained expressionless, kicking him to the ground with a foot. Showing no sign of panic, he instead delivered a cold threat. Wait for what? To expel us? I think it's you who should be waiting. Let me tell you the truth. Shou Ya's voice was like ice shards. Since your Xin tribe doesn't conduct business with integrity, using the chariots for half a year, without paying, then our Han tribe sees no need to play along with you. No need for you gentlemen to drive us out. He surveyed the surroundings, speaking word by word. I have already dispatched half my men to reclaim our Han tribe's chariots. Of course, taking them all away is impractical, and burning them is troublesome. However, destroying all the wheels is not difficult, a matter of a single axe blow. Your farmlands, your construction sites, your mines, your salt fields. Shou Ya's gaze swept over the collapsed Elder Mi and the other three deathly pale elders. News will arrive soon. I guarantee, within 3 days at most, your Xin tribe will not find a single usable chariot. By then, without needing you to expel us, we, the Han tribe, will leave Bamboo Island of our own accord. Lying on the ground, Elder Mi heard this, felt a tightness in his chest, a sweet taste in his throat, and spurted a mouthful of blood, his eyes rolling back as he fainted from sheer rage. The ferocious expressions on the faces of the other three elders instantly froze, then quickly calmed. Elder Zhu took a deep breath, stepped forward, adopted the Han tribe etiquette, and solemnly cupped his hands. What the Han envoy just said. Is it true? Shou Ya also dropped his sneer, his expression solemn. He cupped his hands towards the north, the direction of the Han tribe, and said gravely, In the north, there is a nation. Its name is Han. The people of Great Han, their words, are their bond. Their actions bear fruit. They uphold integrity, strict with themselves. Unlike certain small states clinging to corners, fickle and treacherous, such conduct is abhorred by heaven. Elder Zhu bowed again, his tone carrying a hint of helplessness and entreaty. "Han, envoy, please quell your anger. This matter indeed is my Xin Tribe's fault, but alas, it has nothing to do with me. I advised them long ago to settle the payment quickly, but they wouldn't listen. I implore the Han envoy to show mercy, temporarily halt the destruction of the chariots. Please, do not act rashly out of anger. I will go find the Great Commander right now. I will definitely persuade him to settle the full payment." After speaking, Elder Zhu glanced helplessly at the stunned Elder Du and Elder Sheng, then turned and left. As he passed the feigning death, Elder Mi on the ground, he seemed unable to resist giving him a vicious kick. Elder Mi let out a muffled grunt and spat out more blood foam, this time nearly truly passing away. Shou Ya watched Elder Zhu's indignant departing figure, somewhat surprised himself. Hey, among these Xin Tribe elders, there's actually a sensible one? What he didn't know was that among the 10 elders of the Xin Tribe, there really were pro-Han factions. Besides the enterprising and studious Elder Shang, New Wei, there was this Elder Zhu. Elder Zhu managed the tribe's infrastructure and was obsessed with construction technology, almost to the level of a scholar. The various items imported from the Han tribe in recent years, especially the Han characters, calligraphy, books, and those exquisite architectural models, had filled him with profound admiration for Han culture. He felt Han tribe architecture was grand and majestic, its culture vast and profound. Therefore, Elder Zhu was a rare Han fan among the Council of Elders, eager to foster good relations with the Han tribe, even thinking it would be good for the two groups to live together, wishing for an opportunity to live in the Han tribe territory himself. With relations deteriorating to this point, he was more anxious than anyone, which led to the scene just now. The Xin tribe treasured this batch of chariots immensely. No one wanted to watch them turn into scrap metal. While Elder Zhu ran off to persuade the Great Commander, Elder Du and Elder Sheng exchanged glances, looked helplessly toward Shou Ya's group, said nothing, then lifted the unconscious elder. Mui and hurried after Elder Zhu. They needed to figure out a strategy fast. Shou Ya, who had just been imposing and formidable, watched their retreating figures and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He immediately led his men back to the lodging arranged by the Xin tribe and swiftly began setting up defenses, preparing for potential conflict. This arrangement wasn't born of arrogance on Shou Ya's part, but of necessity. He knew perfectly well that the safest course of action now was to flee immediately. Lingering here meant risking being surrounded and captured by the enraged Great Commander's forces at any moment. But he couldn't leave. He had indeed made harsh threats earlier, claiming to have sent men to smash chariots across Bamboo Island. But that was all bluff. Shou Ya had indeed sent out more than half his men, but those brothers were currently hidden just outside the valley, having gone nowhere. That's right, he was posturing, playing a psychological game. Your orders were clear. Reprimand the Xin tribe, make them recognize reality, pay up obediently, and stop pointlessly antagonizing the Han tribe. It wouldn't benefit them. Therefore, Shou Ya smashing those 30 chariots was merely a pressure tactic, not a genuine attempt to break ties with the Xin tribe and destroy all the vehicles. That would only escalate the conflict, resulting in mutual destruction. The Han tribe didn't actually want war. Why resort to blades when words could solve the problem? Wasn't war expensive? Didn't people die? It was purely a drain on national strength. The Han tribe aimed to get rich quietly, not stir up trouble everywhere. Even occasional military action served development goals, like fighting barbarians for labor, essentially for construction purposes. Besides, even if Shou Ya truly wanted to smash all 1,000 chariots, it was practically impossible. From the day the delegation landed on the island, they had been confined to the valley by the Xin tribe, completely ignorant of the rest of Bamboo Island's geography, population distribution, and everything else. The little intelligence they had consisted of snippets overheard from the valley's common folk, entirely insufficient for planning large-scale operations. So, the dozens of men sent out were effectively blind once they left the valley, lost wherever they went. How could they possibly go around smashing chariots? Just these 60 men trying to wreak havoc across the Xin Tribe's territory. That would be suicidal. The real plan for this operation was, Shou Ya leads 40 men directly to the parking lot, smashes all the chariots there to give the Xin Tribe a sharp warning, forcing them to the negotiating table. The other 60 men's mission was, hide well. Stay hidden outside the valley, creating the illusion that we really went to smash chariots, applying psychological pressure on the Xin Tribe leadership. Simultaneously, these 60 men had to keep their ears open, monitoring developments. If Shou Ya and his group were captured, the remaining men would have to devise a rescue plan and relay the news back to you. If Shou Ya's group were actually killed by the Xin Tribe, it would mean a complete breakdown of relations. These 60 men would then have to secretly slip away to the hidden bridge across the strait, fight their way out during low tide, and risk everything to return to the Han tribe, enabling you to lead a large army for revenge. It had to be said, Shou Ya played this plan quite skillfully, using 40 lives as a wager to force the Xin tribe to negotiate. Regardless of the outcome, he had backup plans. Even in the worst-case scenario, he was confident that someone from the delegation would survive to report back even if only one person remained. Thus, having arranged everything, Shou Ya felt remarkably calm. He swaggered back to his lodgings with his men, brewed tea, and waited for the Xin tribe leadership to come knocking. Quanquan Valley, named after its clear spring, was the lifeline water source for the entire Bamboo Island. Whoever controlled the island. Consequently, it was naturally the political and cultural center of the Xin tribe, the residence of successive great commanders. Halfway up the valley slope, next to a construction site, stood a 2-story bamboo building. Inside, Elder Zhu, having run all the way, was arguing heatedly with the Great Commander, face flushed red. Great Commander, if you don't settle that payment of cattle and sheep with the Han tribe soon, we truly won't be able to save those chariots. When the Han tribe delegation leaves, it will be a tremendous loss for us. A wasted development opportunity. Getting such a good deal again in the future will be difficult. Elder Zhu stomped his foot anxiously, the bamboo floor thudding under his kicks. Elders Du and Sheng stood nearby, not daring to breathe loudly, offering no opinion, taking no sides, just waiting for the outcome. The Xin tribe's Great Commander had a headache from Elder Zhu's lecturing. He was the Great Commander. Yes, his position supreme, but facing these elders who held real power, he had to humble himself somewhat. After many years of development, the Xin tribe had established a mature ruling system. Similar to historical dynasties, tribal alliances needed a leader. Initially, it was through abdication. Whoever was strongest took charge. Later, they found abdication unreliable, prone to internal strife. Think about it. Everyone thinks they're the best. Why should you be the boss? Don't agree? Let's fight. Every succession involved bloody battles. How could the common folk farm? Thus, for stability, they adopted primogeniture. Father dies, son inherits, no son, brother inherits. Simple and crude, but effective. With others having no claim, the state became stable. Of course, this system had drawbacks. What if you got profligate emperor? No problem, there were supplementary measures. The crown prince received top-tier, one-on-one tutoring from childhood on how to be emperor. The Eastern Palace. If the emperor was too wild, the chancellor helped manage affairs, occasionally reining him in. The Xin tribe was similar. The Great Commander was hereditary. The Council of Elders acted as regents, 10 elders each managing a specific area, balancing each other. Those capable and ambitious individuals who couldn't become Great Commander could compete for elder positions, gaining real power, satisfying their ambitions, and thus stabilizing the tribe. Therefore, none of these 10 elders were easy targets. They dared to slam the table with the Great Commander. Elder Zhu's fierce reprimand left the Great Commander feeling deeply wronged, but unable to retort, making him miserable. However, under immense pressure now, he couldn't afford to sulk. He angrily defended himself. It's not that I won't give. It's that we genuinely don't have that many cattle and horses right now. Our own livestock are all in use. How could we give them away? We do have those traded from the grasslands. Didn't we agree to give them directly from the grasslands? But that Modun won't hand them over. What does it have to do with us? The Great Commander paced the room furiously. But the Han envoy has already sent people to smash the chariots. Elder Zhu was also helpless. We can't just stand by and watch. Great Commander, please make a decision quickly. Even just saying a few placating words to the Han envoy to make them stop would be good. Placate them? Why? The Great Commander jumped up at these words. Our Xin Tribe population isn't much smaller than their Han tribe. What can they do to us? He was, after all, the leader of a large tribe of nearly 100,000 people. How could he bow to an envoy? Let alone an envoy, even if the Han tribe chieftain came personally, he wouldn't flinch. After venting, he calmed down somewhat. Ranting solved nothing. He looked at the elders. Are you absolutely sure those envoys went to smash the chariots? Elder Zhu snorted impatiently. I don't know. That's what the Han envoy said anyway. He also said the Han tribe people keep their word. Their actions are decisive. Since he said it, it must be true. The Great Commander looked towards Elders Dao and Sheng. Elder Sheng, who hadn't spoken, piped up. We came back a bit later, took Elder Mai to the shaman first. When we came over, we glanced at the Han envoy's residence. Indeed, no one was there. The valley gate guards also said they didn't see anyone leave. I reckon they must have slipped out secretly. Doing this kind of thing, would they let us know? Hearing this, the Great Commander became even angrier, pointing at them and cursing. Then what are you standing around for? Hurry up and send people to notify all regions. Intercept the Han tribe people first. Are you really waiting for news of destroyed chariots from all over? Only then did they react. Elder Sheng, managing livestock, had many horses, and immediately ran out to arrange for riders to deliver messages post-haste. Only Elders Zhu and Du remained in the room. Before they could speak, the Great Commander started ranting again. That Han tribe, just because they can make some crappy things, they come to extort, blackmail, those useless chariots, a pile of, say, rotten wood, daring to demand 10 head of cattle or horses per vehicle. Outrageous. I just don't want to give, so what? A mere 1,000 chariots wanting to trade for over 10,000 of our cattle and horses. Have they gone mad with poverty? Panting heavily for a few breaths, the Great Commander calmed down slightly and then issued orders. You two, go tell that Han envoy, the payment we acknowledge. But the price is too high, and this time they smashed dozens of our chariots. The price must be reduced. Also, we can't produce that many cattle and horses right now. Gather 1,000 head from the island first to give them. For the rest, we can send people with the Han tribe to demand them from Modun. If Modun still refuses, then it's none of our business. Our Xin Tribe guarantees we will stop supplying Modun with white salt. As for the remaining cattle and horses, let the Han tribe figure out how to get them themselves. And that new way, the Great Commander fumed just thinking about him. This whole mess started because of him. Look what he's done. Immediately send someone to the Han tribe to contact him. Tell him to find a way to sort things out on the Han tribe side. If he screws up, tell him never to come back. After the Xin Commander laid out his plan, Elder Du quickly arranged for someone to send a message to the distant New Way, while Elder Zhu rushed back to the delegation's residence without pause to convey the Great Commander's imperial decree. Shou Ya waited anxiously at the residence, seeing only Elder Zhu arrive alone, without soldiers armed with blades and staves behind him. He finally let out a long sigh of relief. He asked knowingly, "Is Elder Zhu here to drive us away? If so, our delegation will leave immediately." Elder Zhu forced a smile uglier than crying and cupped his hands. Han envoy, please calm your anger, calm down. I have already persuaded the Great Commander and he has agreed to settle the payment immediately. It's just, there are still some difficulties. I hope the Han envoy can understand. Shou Ya rejoiced inwardly. Success. But outwardly he maintained a displeased expression. Since it's an immediate settlement, how can there still be difficulties? Could it be your great commander still wants to drag this out for another year or so? Does he think our Han tribe is easy to fool? No, Han envoy misunderstands. Seeing the situation stiffening again, Elder Zhu quickly waved his hands. Our Great Commander has absolutely no such intention. He wiped his sweat and continued. The Great Commander's meaning is he's willing to settle immediately. It's just that he feels the price your esteemed tribe quoted, 10 head of cattle or horses for one chariot. Isn't it a bit too expensive? That chariot, frankly, is just a pile of wood, not worth that many animals. Therefore, he hopes the Han envoy might lower the price somewhat. As for the cattle and horses, Elder Zhu carefully watched Shou Ya. Our bamboo island truly cannot produce that many right now. The Great Commander said, we can first gather 1,000 head on the island to give to the Han envoy. For the remaining balance, he is willing to send people with the Han envoy to demand them from Modun. If Modun still refuses, our Xin Tribe will sever ties with him, cut off his white salt supply to show our sincerity. As for the rest, the Han tribe will just have to figure out how to get it themselves. Shou Ya listened, quickly calculating in his head. This solution sounded like the best possible outcome for now, but the part about Modun felt wrong, no matter how he looked. Do you owe me money? Modun owes you money. Why should I collect your debt for you? What am I, bored? Debts must be paid. It's a universal principle. Your Xin tribe owes the Han tribe, so you should pay it yourselves. What do I care if you have cattle and horses now or not? Are your animals precious and ours are grass? Why? Don't you give me your own animals first, then go demand them from Modun yourself? The more he thought, the angrier he got. Shou Ya immediately retorted, lower the price? Impossible. Wood isn't valuable, but craftsmanship is. Steaming, boiling, drying, so many processes. You said you wanted 1,000 chariots. We rushed production for you without a second thought. How much manpower and resources did that consume? Don't workers need to eat? Don't their wives and children need support? Besides, you agreed to this price yourselves initially. We didn't hold a knife to your throats forcing you to buy. Now that you've agreed, you find it expensive. Where were you earlier? If it was too expensive, you shouldn't have ordered them. The payment has been delayed for half a year. How much loss has that caused our Han tribe? I haven't even charged you interest, and that's generous. Now you want me to lower the price? Is your face made of cornerstone bricks? Elder Zhu, you're a sensible person. These 1,000 chariots, 10,000 cattle and horses, in the hands of our Han tribe, how many great things could they accomplish? Just because your Xin tribe lacks integrity, all this is lost. Have you calculated the magnitude of this loss? Therefore, lowering the price? Not a chance, not even one less head of cattle or horse. Elder Zhu was rendered speechless by the rebuttal. Thinking carefully, Shou Ya's accounting seemed quite reasonable. The Han tribe's losses were indeed significant. He tentatively asked, well, if the price can't be lowered, so be it. But our bamboo island truly cannot spare that many cattle and horses right now. We can only do as the Great Commander said, give 1,000 head first. For the rest, we'll send people with the Han envoy to get them from Modun. If Modun plays tricks, we'll sanction him, cut off his salt. Han envoy, what do you think? Elder Zhu, that's even more wrong. Shou Ya interrupted him. Let's put ourselves in your shoes. If our Han tribe first received 10,000 cattle and horses from the Xin tribe, then told you to go get chariots from Modun. If he refused, and we said, we're done dealing with him, figure out how to get the chariots yourselves, would you? Be happy. This Elder Zhu was completely lost for words. No one would be happy in that situation. He mentally cursed Modun's ancestors 18 generations back again. The current deadlock still needed resolving. Elder Zhu had no choice but to bite the bullet and ask. Then, in the Han envoy's opinion, how should this matter be handled? Shou Ya pondered for a moment. Forcing the Xin tribe to immediately cough up 10,000 cattle and horses was indeed unrealistic. Insisting stubbornly would only worsen relations. Moreover, the lie about smashing chariots couldn't hold for long, which would cause more trouble later. He thought for a moment and said, "If your Xin Tribe is truly sincere about maintaining relations, then show some concrete action. Don't pass the buck to Modun. My meaning is, the payment price will not be lowered. Not only that, you must compensate. For the 6-month delay, I demand an additional 20% in cattle and horses on top of the original payment." Hearing this, Elder Zhu almost jumped up. "Raising the price? We can't even afford the lower price and you're adding 20%? He was about to object when Shou Ya raised a hand to stop him. "The additional compensation is what you owe," Shou Ya stated righteously. "Think about it. If these 10,000 cattle and horses had arrived at our Han tribe half a year ago, wouldn't they have produced several thousand offspring in these 6 months? Even if cattle and horses don't breed that quickly, adding only 2,000 head isn't excessive, is it? Argue this till the cows come home. After a 6-month delay, the price cannot possibly be the same. These are living things, they reproduce." Elder Zhu felt incredibly bitter. Every word Shou Ya said was logical and irrefutable because it was true. But he still had to force himself to say, "The Han envoy speaks reasonably. However, the Xin Tribe truly cannot produce that many cattle and horses right now. Even if we wish to compensate, we lack the ability. Perhaps the Han envoy could think of another idea." "Of course," Shou Ya wore an expression that said, "I've already thought of it for you. I have already devised a solution for you. It doesn't matter if the Xin tribe lacks that many cattle and horses. You can first gather 2,000 head from Bamboo Island as compensation for the delay. For the remaining payment equivalent to 10,000 cattle and horses, I permit you to pay with an equivalent value of white salt. If you agree, this account will be settled. I can use these 2,000 cattle and horses to transport the white salt back. From then on, we owe each other nothing. How about it?" Elder Zhu's eyes lit up upon hearing this. "Eh? This idea is plausible. 2,000 cattle and horses the Xin tribe could manage by gritting their teeth. White salt equivalent to 10,000 cattle and horses? That was even less of a problem. Don't forget, this was an island. They lacked everything except salt." He quickly cupped his hands and bowed. "Many thanks to the Han envoy for your understanding. However, this matter is significant. I cannot decide alone. Allow me to report to the Great Commander first, and I will give the Han envoy an answer shortly. Please rest assured, Han envoy, since the Han tribe is willing to compromise, I will certainly do my utmost to persuade the Great Commander. Please wait a moment." Shou Ya nodded without saying more. Watching Elder Zhu, despite his age, hurry back, he couldn't help shaking his head and sighing, "Ah, if only everyone in the Xin tribe were as reasonable as this one." Meanwhile, Elder Zhu ran back to the Great Commander's bamboo building, breathless, relayed Shou Ya's proposal and awaited the Great Commander's decision. Smack! The Xin Commander slammed the table in fury, making the Han tribe porcelain on the bamboo tea table jump. He cursed angrily. "Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Has their Han tribe gone mad with poverty? Demanding such a high price, refusing to lower it is one thing, but now daring to demand compensation. And you agreed to it just like that?" Elder Zhu frowned and directly retorted, "Their demand for compensation is perfectly reasonable. If this had happened to our Xin tribe, Great Commander, you likely would have demanded even more. And about the price, since we agreed initially, we cannot break our word. Otherwise, who would dare do business with us in the future? Where else would we trade for cattle and horses? I implore the Great Commander to prioritize the tribe's reputation." The Xin Commander was struck speechless by the rebuttal and could only continue slamming the table to vent his frustration. "Are you still an elder of our Xin tribe? Siding with outsiders? Why are you speaking up for the Han tribe at every turn? Don't you consider the interests of our Xin tribe?" Elder Zhu didn't back down. "I am not siding with the Han tribe. I am siding with reason. It is precisely for the long-term interests of the Xin tribe that I urge the Great Commander to protect our reputation. Otherwise, we will be unable to move freely on the grasslands in the future, nor can we expect to trade for any more good things from the Han tribe. Seeing the Great Commander about to erupt again, Elder Zhu continued his barrage. I urge the Great Commander to see the facts clearly and stop saying angry things like, "We don't need the Han tribe." Just consider the batch of chariots from half a year ago. How much benefit did they bring our Xin tribe? Now that the 3 Jin elders have chariots to transport ore, metal production has increased greatly. Tools and weapons are provided for. This improvement to our strength is tangible. And the trade caravans transporting goods, elders Mi and Du transporting grain. In just half a year, the people's livelihood, granaries, and metal production have all significantly improved. And this is just the change brought by 1,000 chariots. Can the Great Commander truly ignore all this? If we developed so quickly, with just 1,000 chariots, how many chariots does the Han tribe have? Probably too many to count. How terrifying must their development speed be? How much stronger must they be than us? How many other good things does the Han tribe possess that we haven't seen? Doesn't the Great Commander wish to learn? Now, just because of 1,000 chariots, you've become blinded, constantly opposing the Han tribe's permanent presence on Bamboo Island. Don't you consider what the Han envoy said, that they are here to help us with construction? If we learn even a little bit from them, the benefits would be immense. How can you not understand? We are indeed inferior to the Han tribe. That's a fact. But as long as we are willing to learn, even if we can never catch up, we can still develop ourselves and allow our Xin Tribe people to live better lives, right? Isn't this your responsibility as Great Commander? But what are you doing? Now? Not only not thinking about the tribe's development, but obstructing it at every turn. If our ancestors knew about this, who knows how they would curse you? This machine gun-like barrage from Elder Zhu, even invoking the ancestral tablets, finally stunned the Xin Commander. He sat there, Leng stupidly lost in thought. Could it be? I was really wrong. Agreeing to the Han tribe's permanent presence could indeed allow us to learn technology and develop the tribe rapidly. But would such a Xin tribe still be the Xin tribe in the future? Promoting Han characters, adopting the Han lifestyle. Would this Xin tribe still listen to me afterwards? Truthfully, the Xin Commander saw further than Elder Zhu. He didn't believe pies fell from the sky, and even if they did, they were poisoned. Why was the Han tribe so eager to help Bamboo Island? What benefit was there for them? Were they truly selfless heroes? He wouldn't believe it even if beaten to death. It was just that these elders in the tribe were either blinded by selfishness, only concerned with their own gains, or like Elder Zhu, dazzled by the small favors given by the Han tribe, unable to see the knife hidden behind the sugar-coated bullets. He suddenly felt a wave of powerlessness, as if resigning himself to fate, saying weakly, "Regarding this transaction, let's proceed as the Han envoy proposed. Give them the cattle and horses, use white salt to cover the rest. Let their people go back. As for the future permanent stationing of the delegation, I still hope the Han envoy can come discuss it in person." Hearing this, Elder Zhu was overjoyed and immediately nodded. The Great Commander is wise. The Xin Commander, however, gave a bitter smile. Let's hope this decision doesn't sink the Xin tribe into the sea. But Elder Zhu was full of confidence, looking at him with determined eyes. Great Commander, rest assured, we are merely learning. From the Han tribe, the Xin tribe will always be the Xin tribe. Even if we learn their ways, we will still be ourselves.